Hello and welcome back to part 12 of the snow speeder build. Today we're actually going to do some weathering and battle damage, so let's head over to the bench. Okay, we have gotten all the decals down and did a clear coat, got all the little red triangles done, and I just did the red pieces in the back here, which I just did with a marker so I could get those nice straight lines. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but got all that done back there. So it's coming together pretty good. I'm liking it. Went through and scratched, because I did some scratches before I put the decals down, so I went back and scratched where the decals laid over the scratches and chipped some of the writing off, so that looks cool. Or I put that scratch across those, which came out good. And in the back on these little checkered areas back there on the butt that go on each side of the engine there. I don't know if you can see. I did those, chipped them all up. So, but what we're going to do, it's weathering time. So I did do a clear of it. It's weathering time. And so I got one of my little jeweler's engraving bits. I'm going to do a couple little and deeper hits into the ship, maybe a couple across here. And then I don't want to go crazy with it, but a couple good nicks in it that we can actually then airbrush some streaking, you know, like the hit and did the streaking. And then I usually will, I think I'll use like a German gray to airbrush, or a real dark gray, like kind of like that, to symbolize like a burn mark. And then go in and touch it up a little bit with the black for the actual real scorch. So, but we want to get these pre-chips in there to get it some chunkiness underneath all that. So let's see if we can do something kind of cool. And this is kind of going off of just randomness. I don't know, looking at other model kits, if any of these chips and things are going to be authentic, but so let's just go for it and have fun. That one I want to make a pretty good chip. And this one just a little, maybe a little chip in there. And maybe a chip out here. And it's kind of hard with these round bits to get so you kind of got to tap into them. We'll do another one there. I think I saw one here that looked kind of cool. Make a big smack there. We can put a couple knocks in the... And it's okay that it's doing that, because I want it to kind of be a long segment. Right there. Maybe one here. A little closer. Small one there. And then we'll do some hits off the edge of the kind of wing shape. And I want a good one here. That one even took off underneath, which we can use. And then a good one here. good one there. Let's go with that. Like I said, I don't want to go crazy. But that's a good start. And I think I'm going to go over and sponge a lot of this. You know, dip the sponge in a paint, and then it's almost like a dry brushing, but sponge, and just. But I want some depth to some areas too. So that's why I want to chunk it. So when these get, you know, they have something to them. Underneath, I'm just going to do those kind of blast points. I guess I could chunk something in there or something here and there, but yeah, I think that'll work. So now what I'm going to do, though, is just do a whole wash using this Vallejo gray wash. And we'll do the whole ship in this gray wash, let it do its thing and take it back off, and then we'll start going in. And I think first what I did with the Falcon is I first hit the gray blast, and then I can go in and just dab a little bit of black in the big spots, and just come in with the airbrush and go, you know, make the streaks. So I think that's what we'll do. Washes are pretty simple. We just wipe them on and take them right back off and keep applying until it looks right. So I won't bore you with that, but I figured it'd be neat to show doing some chip ups and give you an update on where she's at as far as the paint and decals. So when I come back, we should have the weathering started and done. Threw a little super glue in there. Shove these up a little bit. You should come down on there. There you go. But that's going around the notch good. Got some good thick super glue. Dabbed a little bit, then put the wire down, and then put some up and over. Because I don't think the hot glue will really bond. I could use some JB Weld, maybe, which I'm finding is a great stuff. I don't know why I haven't had it in a while. Found this at the hardware store when I was looking for some other stuff at our local hardware store here. Alright, now we're down to the last thing on this. I love it. Deciding on how these flaps are. I think this one we're going to have full up. And I do have to put a wash in there too, because they've been closed during this whole process. And they look quite white and clean in there, and they need to get dirty. But I think this one's going to be up like that completely. And then down, way down in there, we're really going to have to grease up. We'll hit a light wash, grease, and stuff on all this here. But I think that one we're going to have completely up. And since this one can't close, the way the LED's hitting the arm, I think we're just going to do this one like in a coming down motion, like that, which is going to be fun to try to do as well. But anyway, moving on. Okay, so yeah, we got to get a wash in there. Let's start off with our initial wash. I do have this is kind of more of a greasier area of the ship. We've got this brownish red wash. Then I got a nice rust wash. That's what I did with how I did the oxidation and rust all over the ship. And then I got this weird, they call it dark yellow. But in Star Wars they like those little, like on a Falcon, there's all kinds of like little yellow airbrush splatters or little circle marks like that. And that's what I got that for the Falcon, and it works on all Star Wars ships. You know, up close and it's kind of but when you back off and you look at, you know, a lot of the stuff you see on them can be drastic or kind of odd, but when you do pull back and look at it from a camera's perspective, which is totally different, it works. So, and I might put dabs of, because weathering is never one color, so the more shades you can, yes, that's more of a, you know, more of a tan in there. This is more of a dark, or almost similar, but this has got more of a darkness to it. But let's move on. Let's get some of this oily earth in here. Yeah, I second that thought. I'm going to do the gray first and do a full-on wash in the gray, and then dab, because that looks cool. Just dab in little areas. And I'm afraid if I put that in there in spots and then put this gray over, it's going to dilute it. So rethink or readjust. I don't know if I can get her to. That's the thing, is keeping them open. Because this I can go in and I'm just hitting everything. Like I said, this one's going to be partly closed, so I'm not going to see terrible. To me, I'm still in that school of thought of making it look exactly the way it should. Like I said, you're not going to see completely in this compartment, and you want to make sure you get any of the excess it. If you dab some areas and then on high spots, and then they can run down, it gives you that natural runny, weathered look. Let's work on you. This is always the fun part of the model building, I think. It's the weathering, because it really ties in and makes things start to look more real. So I want to make sure I don't have any excess. Alright. Did we hit everything? Like so. This is the one I want to kind of just dab in spots. I might want to go with a smaller brush. I like using these real coarse ones because it lets you get in there and stab at areas. And it can make things look kind of pitty because it's not this solid brush. Oh yeah, we can use this to get down in there. So that would really be greasy. Grimy. There we go. Yeah, that's good with that one. I can even throw some of that yellow in there. That, believe it or not, it just adds this unnatural color in there. You know, it could look like some type of fluid that pumps through the ship. Now see, this is going to have a lighter look to it, which is nice. I think I'm gonna do a little bit of that yellow just to give a sickly fluid leak in the engine compartments. I did that with the X-Wing, my DeAugustine X-Wing. I have the diorama that you can get with it, and I don't need you because I'm not doing any swiping. But we will use the rust next. But there's a fuel pump that one of the guys is holding a hose, and it goes to a little fuel pump, I'm assuming. So I made it look like little spills around that, and figured the fuel would be a funky thing, so I used this, and it worked great. Yeah, it's a weird greeny yellow wash, and it's kind of cool. So you say, okay, that thing could be leaking, so you just dab it on that, and can have a leak up there. You stab it on that. Oh yeah, what a oh yeah, that's working. And I might go over and just dab a little more gray over that. But that's good with the yellow. It doesn't need much. You just want to make it look like certain engine areas. But I think let's get this glued up and the way we want. So this one we know we're going to have open. So while she's open, I'm going to hit some quick set there. Of the quick setting. Let's try a regular thin set. Sometimes plus we just did a wash too, so everything's wet. Yeah, I don't mind the regular thin set, but whatever something else in that other stuff. There we go. With the rust, I want to be a little more strategic. And this seemed to work pretty good. And like I said, you can even and then go with water and just hit those areas again and to thin out the. That's what I was doing with the other brush. You take some water, especially with the rust, and you really get it to flow. I put a good healthy dab right here. Or you can wet it before and then hit it, and it really flows down the wet spot. Yeah, it works great. Oh, I don't want to do that. Use some of the water to soften it so it doesn't look like these real harsh rust lines. Now what we want to do, that's good with the rust. I'm going to keep shaking this because I want to do a slight wash. I can see I need to get down in there. From this angle. there's always areas you want to hit again. Okay, got those washes on there and got these guys glued in. They're still kind of curing. I want to get another little drop of glue down in there. But yeah, they're still kind of curing, so I got my pastels out. And these really work good for final weathering. Stuff that you... But I'm using, there's a real dark gray. This is a cool little kit I got for like a decent price. I don't remember. I can even add a little black in there if I want. At least if I do, especially in these guns, you know, or anywhere where I got already have laser fiber optics. I don't, you know, normally I would like to airbrush those. For the gun blasts, for the gun areas, it's not so bad. It gives that nice subtle look to it. And for the engines back here, I'm going to do the same. Just take it and just rub it around, and then I might even use a little bit of the Tamiya. Maybe I'll try a little bit of that first, and then put this dark gray over it. What do we got? We got this gunmetal, which works pretty good because it has a thickness to it. These pastels are a little more oily, or I don't know if it's just because they're older. But what I like about the gunmetal from Tamiya is it gives a little bit of a shine to it, so it kind of looks like a more metallic kind of thing. It's definitely time to get some more sponges for these, which I do have in there. I really wore this. Back one out. And then this works too. It's got a brush. It kind of helps blend it in, and it has a little bit of rust in it too. Alright. The silver works good if you want things to feel like they're worn, like from people touching them. You know how like edges wear on a painted metal part. There's my klutziness. This acts more like a powder, and I can get in there and imagine if I use a coarser brush, I can dab in the areas better. That worked pretty good. And what I might do is go back and lightly dab it with this wash again. See if it helps. Solidify everything. There we go. I'm going to call that good unless I got to just touch up. Whoops, I threw that paper towel away. Oops, I thought I was done with it. Let's close this off before I spill it. But yeah, I'm going to call that a done Dundee. I like it a lot. We got these that still lift up and down. They look really good. I forgot to put you in there. I'm going to try to keep these lids the same way so the colors don't. You end up like with black with every color in the box in there. Yeah, these are pretty cheap pastels. Yeah, you know. What was it, a 64 color? But yeah, I like it. Looks good having that one slightly open. With this one with a full-on flap. Well, I'll do a video of good close-ups and pictures of it once I get it a little more presentable. And there she is. The Skywalker Snow Speeder. Might not be quite canon, but get you the idea. It looks good. And we'll come back and we'll do a final review. Lights on and everything. Till then, thanks for watching.